Battlefield 6 is doing something controversial for its open beta. Last night, the team released a new blog post for the road ahead as we come up to 2 weekends worth of beta action. And in the blog, they revealed some changes that are being made that are certain to cause some debate. Core elements of some classes are being moved around, and it's certainly going to change up the class balance during this open beta period. So let's get you up to date. If you enjoy this video, drop a like on it for the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more Battlefield 6 content coming very soon. Okay, let's start with the most controversial element of the blog post, changes to the Recon and Assault classes in Battlefield 6. These changes are coming in from data captured at the very end of the most recent Battlefield Labs tests, and developers are looking to continue evolving the class balance in the game moving forward. It's been identified that the Assault class, perhaps quite obviously with its weapon sling, enables you to take 2 primary weapons and be very front foot attacking with the class. Somebody that likes to push the front line is going to play Assault. But it's also been noted that the class is very lone wolf in its playstyle, and that doesn't quite fit into the current team play push for the class system. So with that in mind, several changes are being made to the class and its gadgets. First of all, the Adrenaline Ejector is having its role completely changed. It used to offer a self-healing effect, but that's gone. It's been replaced by a clearance and boost mechanism, making you resistant to flash and stun effects whilst active, enhancing tolerance towards explosive and incendiary damage whilst active, and it improves your movement speed now. This means if you're making a close-range push, you give yourself a small advantage when busting onto enemies, but you won't have that extremely powerful fallback of a self-heal pen anymore. Secondly, the signature trait of the class is being changed from Enhanced Mobility, now provided by the Adrenaline Injector instead, to Commanding Presence. This trait speeds up the capturing of objectives for nearby squad mates, and it takes you and your team out of combat faster, meaning squad mates are able to spawn on you at a faster rate. This is another step being taken towards providing squad benefits for the Assault class instead of that lone wolf approach. And thirdly, the Assault class is getting some new gadgets, and one of them is being stolen from the Recon class, the Spawn Beacon, and it's being renamed to the Deploy Beacon. And the other new gadget is the Assault Ladder. This was actually shown in the multiplayer reveal trailer, and it can be set up to access areas that players otherwise would not be able to reach, such as windows above the ground floor of buildings. It's supposedly being added to push the Assault class as the leader of the front line, forging new pathways for the rest of the squad. And then fourthly, yep, I know, lots of changes, the Recon class is getting its own shake-up beyond having the Deploy Beacon stolen off them. One of the 2 training paths, used to be called Pathfinder, is being replaced with a new one called Spec Ops, and this is a nod towards the stealthy, explosive focus class that was in Battlefield 2. Your base perk 0 will now enable quieter takedowns with your melee weapon and quieter crouch and prone movement. Perk 1 will enable passive spotting of nearby gadgets unless you're sprinting, so you just need to be walking, and then gadgets in the area will be spotted for you. And then Perk 2 takes you out of combat faster whilst in prone, and it removes a spot on you if you're currently spotted. The class is going to retain the personal UAV at Perk 3 that can be activated, and the signature trait of the class, aim spotting, that's going to remain as well. So that's a pretty serious shake-up of the class structure in Battlefield 6, as if we already hadn't spoken about the class structure enough already. The Recon class is suddenly a stealthy infiltrator now, but still has sniper rifles as its signature weapon, contrasting with a lot of those changes by usually being a long-range weapon class, and the Assault class now becomes the ultra frontline class with access to the Deploy Beacon and the deployable ladder. It's a pretty major change, I've got to say. Personally, I think the changes to the Assault class are really good ones. Giving them access to the Deploy Beacon is going to change how squads spawn into the action now, being much closer to it rather than further away. Now, back in the Battlefield 3 days, when the Spawn Beacon used to deploy you on a parachute, it made sense to give it to the Recon because they could hide it away somewhere, and then players could use their parachute to reposition themselves on the map accordingly. Much more movement from the moment you spawn. But in Battlefield 6, you spawn on the ground, so having it close to the action to reinforce a flank or reinforce a push onto an objective is more in the Assault wheelhouse. The deployable ladder That sounds like a properly cool gadget, and I can think of plenty of places already on Siege of Cairo and Iberian Offensive where something like that is going to come in very, very handy, and it's a nice option to give to the Assault class. Now, as for the Recon class, though, does it now not feel a little bit empty to you guys? Sure, the devs have repositioned it as a more stealthy option, but then its signature weapon type being sniper rifles doesn't really fit into that, I don't think. You'd probably be better off assigning the class the carbines as signature weapons to allow recons to close the gap whilst retaining access to the aim spot trait. Unless this is kind of the entire point of the change, to force you to make a choice between being a sniper at range and potentially not make use of those stealthy additions at close range, or take an off-signature weapon choice like carbines and sacrifice that long-range power, but you get to use the close-range gadgets. I mean, Recon does already have C4 explosives, which are really only useful at close range as well. So I genuinely do think the devs are trying to pivot the entire class away from that long-range engagement type that it's had for so long into something that fits alongside the other classes, which, let's be honest, all of them do tend to operate best when they're in the thick of battle right next to each other. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, because I'm pretty sure this is going to divide opinion. Are you happy with these changes to the Assault and Recon classes, or do you prefer things go back to the way they were? Let me know down below. Next, let's talk about open versus closed weapon options that we're going to have in the open beta. The devs have detailed their plans to offer a game mode matchmaking option each weekend that's going to have weapons open across classes, allowing you to run whatever weapon you want to run, and another identical game mode, but with weapons closed, locked to their respective classes. So for weekend 1, that game mode is Conquest, and regardless of which of the two options you choose, you're going to earn full XP progression. So if you're going for those cool cosmetic rewards and challenge items that you can unlock and then use in the game later on after launch, don't worry, you're not going to be held back in any way from getting those. For weekend 2, it will likely switch to another game mode. Now, somebody was asking me why there won't be open and closed matchmaking options for all available game modes in the beta, and the only answer that seems sensible to me, and it's kind of an important one, is matchmaking entry points. If you were to have open and closed weapons matchmaking for Conquest, Breakthrough, Domination, and King of the Hill, you'd be doubling the amount of matchmaking options for players, and you'd likely split the player base a bit too thin. So by keeping it to one game mode, it's going to allow you to try open versus closed weapons, and it'll allow the devs to collect a bunch of feedback whilst keeping all the playlists healthy and populated. Next up, it has been confirmed that there has been a time to kill and time to death pass across the entire beta build of the game. I know there were some complaints from the multiplayer event that it felt like you died very quickly in Battlefield 6 versus sometimes it taking more bullets than you expected to kill somebody. So the devs have looked at that, and they've gone and done a balance pass across the entire weapon pool that's available in the beta, and they're looking for feedback. So make sure you let your voices be heard about what you're playing. And on top of that, the weapon customization options have been bolstered, with improvements being made and still being made to make it easier to identify which weapons work best with each class. I do have to say that the UI in the customization area of Battlefield 6 is quite clunky at the moment, so it would be nice if that got slimmed down and streamlined a little bit. So to hear the devs are already working on stuff like this, and some of that work has made it into the beta already, that's pretty good news. And then, quite important this bit, changes are being made to the maps in the beta that you're going to be playing. And when I say changes, I mean like physical changes to some of the maps. The blog post highlighted Siege of Cairo as an example, but it's my understanding that all the maps are going to be receiving the same sort of treatment. The video that I've got on screen right now, it shows the flow of movement of each team during a match, and it's quite easy to see the more populated areas, it's brighter in color, versus those less traveled pathways. The devs are saying that they've made direct changes to the maps already to make gameplay flow more freely, including changing the layout of objectives, various bits of cover, including upgrading certain areas where needed, objective capture areas have been modified, and layouts for the different teams have been balanced. The visual look of objective boundaries has also been updated, and various turret locations across the map have been adjusted to lean into the general gameplay a little bit more. The devs have said this is just the first step, however, so really do make sure you give feedback on this. They want feedback from the open beta, they want to collect data, and they want to hear from players too. So if you've got any feelings, put them out on social media, put them on Reddit, the Battlefield Discord, get your opinion across if you think these maps are good or bad, or if there's any pressure points that you think need to change. And that's it for today, guys. I've got another video being posted tomorrow, the last one before the open beta, so look out for that. But if you enjoyed this one, drop a like on it and subscribe for more Battlefield 6 content coming very soon. I'll catch you in the next one.